All right, we're going to continue doing lesson 4.1. We're going to do 4.1b today. And so we are going to focus on this vertex form that we did yesterday in class. And so the first two problems, 1 and 2, are just kind of review from yesterday, just because I'm not here and you're doing this on your own, so it'd be good to just review some things. So let's first talk about the vertex of this parabola. So we're looking at y equals -2 x minus 1 squared plus 3. So our vertex is going to be the opposite of whatever's inside, as that would be a shift of 1 to the right, and then a shift of 3 up. So that's our vertex. And we can go to the graph and we can plot that right away. So 1, 1, 2, 3. It's right here. Okay. Our axis of symmetry is going to be the line that comes through the vertex. It's a vertical line, so it's going to be x equals. Don't forget to write x equals. And what does x equal? Well, x equals 1, and that's the same as our vertex x value. The y-intercept is to let x equals 0, and we plug it into our parabola up here. So we go 0 minus 1 squared plus 3. You can do that by hand, or you can, plug that into your calculator, either way. But what you get is you get 0 minus 1 is -1, and -1 squared is +1. And so I get -2 plus 3, which is +1. That's actually a really nice point to graph. We can graph that right here at 0, 1, the y-intercept. And then, as you know, because the axis of symmetry splits this parabola right down the middle, we can reflect that point over to the other side. And then we can also check, because this -2 right here tells us that from the vertex we can count down 2 and then over 1 in each direction. So we are ready to graph our parabola. So it's pointing down, which we should expect since it's a negative a value out front. Okay, so this graph then has a maximum value. It's the highest y that it goes to, and that would be 1, 2, 3. Okay, and remember that that number is going to be the same as the y vertex, just like these numbers were the same here. Pretty good. All right, domain, please always write all real numbers if you want to write all real numbers out, but that's the symbol for all real numbers. And then the range is going to be all of the y values that are being used. So if you look at the y-axis here, and you take a look, the highest y value that's being used is 3, and then everything below it, nothing above it, is being used on this parabola, like being used, like a point on this parabola. All of these y values. So then the range would be y is less than or equal to 3. Okay. Why don't you pause the video and try to do number 2 by yourself, and then, yeah, do it. Yeah, I know, you're like, no, I'm not going to do that. No, do it. Pause it, figure it out, and then come back and see if you got it right. Okay, so here we go. Hopefully you did it and you got it right. Vertex is at -2, -1. So we'll go over here to -2, -1. There's our vertex right there. Our axis of symmetry is going to be this vertical line that goes through that point that we just plotted. So that would be at x equals -2. The y-intercept is to plug 0 in for x and to work it out and get your y value. The stylus isn't working very well. All right, so then you get, ooh, it's kind of a big number. You get 0 plus 2 is 2, and 2 squared is 4. So I get 2 times 4 plus 1, it's 9. So the y-intercept, you can write it as a point. It's 0, 9. It's way up here. So that might not be the best number to choose to pick. If you want to graph this thing, you can use the fact that we have a 2 out front, which is going to stretch this 1, 2, and 1 over like that. Okay, don't keep going like 1, 2, and 1 over. That's going to make a V shape, but we want a U shape here. So let's go ahead and we plot. See, way up here, it's going to be at 9 on the y-axis. Yeah, it's kind of a tough one to graph. Okay, so the minimum value is the lowest that it goes for the y's, and that would be at -1. And there it is. It's right here, -1. is our minimum. And the domain of this thing is all real numbers every time. And the range is, what are the y values? Well, the y values start at -1 and they go up from there. So y is greater than or equal to -1. I hope you got that right. I hope you tried it. Now the next 3 problems are going to be the new things for today. So we're going to write the equation of each parabola in vertex form. In order to write this in vertex form, let's remember what vertex form actually is. Vertex form is y equals a x minus h squared. Don't forget that squared. It's very important. And then plus k. Now, what do all these things mean? Well, h and k is the vertex of the parabola. Okay, that's going to go in opposite here, same as on the outside. A is going to be a constant that we have to find. And then all of the points that are on our graph are x and y points. So let's go ahead. We have 3 of these to do. They're all pretty much the same. Let's see if we can do them. Okay, so first of all, we're given that the vertex of the parabola is 3, 2, and it goes through this point 1, 5. Now, you do not need to graph this. Go ahead and plug in what you have. We have y equals, we're not sure what a is, but my vertex is hk. So I can say that that's a shift of -3 squared plus 2. Okay, so all I did was I went to this formula up here and I replaced h and k with what I was given as 3 and 2. Now I'm going to take this point, because I haven't used this yet. I'm going to take this point, and this point is x and y. And so x equals 1 and y equals 5. And so I'm going to plug that into my equation here. So 5 equals a 1 minus 3 squared plus 2. And now I can solve for a because I have one variable and I have one equation. So I have 5 equals. This is 1 minus 3 is -2, and -2 squared is 4. So this is 4 times a is 4a plus 2. Let's solve for a. We're going to subtract 2 to the other side. 3 equals 4a, so a would equal 3/4. That's very tempting to stop right there, but we have to answer their question. The question is, what is the equation of the parabola? So we have all of our parts. We have a, and we also have our vertex equation here. So let's go ahead and just plug a equals 3/4. So our answer would be y equals 3/4 x minus 3 squared plus 2. And that would be the answer to the problem. That's the parabola that has that vertex and goes through that point. Okay, let's go over here to B. Sorry, I kind of ran out of room. Same exact problem, just 2 different points. So let's see if we can do it. Let's start by plugging our vertex in. So y equals a x minus 2 squared minus 3. Okay? Don't get these points mixed up. This is the vertex. It's going to go in here and there. Now take the point 4, -8, and we're going to plug that in. So -8 goes in for y, and 4 goes in for x. Okay. So I have -8 equals 4 minus 2 is 2, and 2 squared gives me 4, so that's 4a minus 3. Go ahead and add 3 to the other side. You get -5, and so a equals -5/4. So we're going to go back to this one right here, and we're going to plug in a. So my equation would be y equals -5/4 x minus 2 squared minus 3. So there it is, my parabola. All right, last one. And this one, it looks tricky because we're given a graph, but it's exactly like the last 2 that we did. So let's look. Do you see this? This is the point, and that's our vertex. And our vertex is at the point 3, 1. And then what you want to do is you want to find a really nice point on this graph. And I can find 2 that are really good. This one's really good, and that's the point 6, 7. 6, 7. And this one's really good over here, which is the point 0, 7. And do you see how those are a reflection over the axis of symmetry? Okay, so you can choose either one of those points. I'm going to go ahead and pick the point 0, 7, just because 0 is a nice, easy number to work with. So if you want to try it, it's just like the last two where you're given a vertex and a point. And you can try this one and pause the video and then get back to it. So I'm just going to go ahead and start and plug it in. So I have y equals, I don't know what a is. I do know that a is positive because my parabola is opening up. And then the vertex would be x minus 3 squared plus 1. Okay, so now let's take our point and we're going to plug in this point for x and y. So 7 is the y, x is 0, plus 1. Okay, and so I get 0 minus 3 is negative 3. Don't forget to square it. 9a plus 1. Subtract 1 to the other side. So 6 equals 9a divided by 9. A equals 2/3. Alrighty. Just a little side note, when you have a fraction like that and you think, okay, I would rise 2 and run 3, that's not right. With fractions, it's like you rise 2/3 and run 1. So if I went up 2/3, it would be right here, and running 1 would put me right there. So it's really hard to estimate on the graph just by looking at it. You have to do it this way in order to get the right answer. Okay, but let's go ahead and finish this problem. So I have y equals, I'm looking at this right here, and I have a is 2/3. I'm going to plug 2/3 in, and then keep my vertex form, and that would be the answer. All right, 12 minutes, nice. I hope you have a great weekend. You can start the homework right now, get it out of the way, and we'll go over all of 4.1a and 4.1b when I return on Monday. Bye.